Hello everyone, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel, where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to kind of like a do-it-yourself budget hot rodding update video. Now, to allow myself a little bit of room, this will be kind of uploaded kind of out of order, obviously, kind of like the last update video. And you guys will probably be seeing this sometime, well, from the filming of this, probably a day or two, okay? Give me a chance to kind of add in a little extra to get my watch hours, if you will. Now, for those that don't know, Project Lena is in the shop. And currently, right now, as I'm speaking, she's actually getting an engine swap. Now, technically, all of this should have been dealt with like a couple of days ago. She should have already been back, but it's been one hiccup after the other. And, it's been frustrating for us over here because, I've had coworkers helping me get back and forth to work because Prince Magnum channel is still growing, and you guys get the general idea. So, I mainly wanted to come on here and kind of explain. There was a really good question, and one that deserves a lot more in depth at a later date. But for right now, I wanted to kind of touch base because I know the comment's going to be seen, and it is a legitimate comment. It's one that was so intelligent that we kind of had to take a brief moment and at least touch base on it, okay? And that comment is just pull the heads, have them machined, and put new gaskets on Project Lena. There's no sense in, basically, our dear friend 3rd Gen 83 basically said, just machine the heads and new gaskets. And he would normally be right in a situation like this. He would normally be right, but we have a problem. Project Lena, her engine, though strong, is coming up on 230,000 miles. Now, by modern standards, that's a drop in the bucket, okay? A well taken care of modern engine can last a good while. Even with aluminum heads, aluminum blocks, well taken care of engines will last a good while. And really, there should be a deeper video on this at a later date, where we kind of dive into talking about some of this engine stuff and why. I've been threatening for a while to do an engine tech video, but for right now, let me kind of give you just kind of a brief overview in this update video. The reason why the engine swap is, number one, it's a lower mileage engine. I think if I remember correctly, the guy in charge of the salvage yard said it was only like 119,000 miles. That's a whole lot fewer miles. Now, we don't know what the previous owner, how they treated it. But, considering, those, it's still a cast iron engine block, it could take a little bit of a beating. In all honesty, that's it. Yeah, it's still a crapshoot, but it's a whole lot better than running a crapshoot on an engine that one of the previous drivers we know was hard on vehicles. There's plenty of stories on this channel that have kind of been hinted at for a long time that my wife is hard on vehicles. Our first year of marriage, we went through 3 vehicles. That's not a joke. We went through 3 vehicles because of that woman. We went through, a 2001 Pontiac Grand Prix. She wrecked that one twice, and on the last one, she totaled it and almost ended up taking it backwards off of a ravine. That seems to be her MO. We'll get to that in a minute. She blew up a 91 Ford Tempo. Granted, those engines were rubber band engines, but it only had 35,000 miles on it. Okay? 35,000 miles. Basically, it was owned by some little old lady that never drove it. Okay? She never drove the car, really. So when we got it, it only had 5,000 miles, and she blew the engine up at 35,000. Then we had the original project car for the Prince Magnum channel, Project Beauty. She took that one backwards off of an embankment. Okay? So if that's the kind of driving that we can expect from her, do we want to run the risk of just slapping, fully machined heads on an engine that, I mean, there's plenty of stories that have yet to come up that I've managed to get my hands on about the abuses to that car. Oh, somebody's using a shop vac. Just down away from us. So there's plenty, you put brand new machined heads on an engine that's got, some serious abuses done to it, you could blow the crankshaft right through. You know that. Or the compression alone can suck the rings past the pistons, and then we've got an engine that smokes like a freight train. Let's start with something that we know has a better chance of lasting us a little while, rather than run the risk of blowing up an engine with brand new parts, or fully machined parts. It would be a different story if we had a little bit more money to throw around. I would just go ahead and, if Project Spirit was on the road right now, I would actually just go right on ahead and just run Project Spirit instead, and completely rebuild Project Lena's engine, because the rebuild kits are available. You can rebuild those engines. So knowing that full well, this was the better route. Now, again, I just got the phone call a couple hours before filming this that they're getting ready to lower Lena's new engine into her engine bay. And again, when I talked to the man at the salvage yard, he was telling me that the engine was running pretty solid as a rock when the car was brought in. That's why he didn't want to just sell me the heads. And to be honest with you, it's a better deal going this route. Because we've got a few years before we have to worry about a rebuild. And even if it's sat a couple of years, as long as it's got oil in it, she might have a little bit of difficulty starting up. But, y'all know as well as I do, that engine will be fine. Matter of fact, Lena's engine sat for about 6 months when I hit that key. And all the same problems that were there when we parked her were still there. They were just, they just got worse as I started trying to fix all the continual problems that my wife left with those cars, left on that car when she turned it over to me after Project Spirit's accident. And we hadn't had a chance to really dive into it. All the same problems, they were just made worse by the usual abuses that she, and again, we're talking that she did abuse that car. You guys seen the video footage of how she left it. So we can only just imagine the abuses that the engine went through long before we got to this point. So it just made sense going with a fresh engine. But this is just kind of a brief overview, kind of an update why we're doing this. And again, we're just waiting right now, which everybody's not on my time schedule. I wish I had the facilities and all the stuff to do this swap properly myself, but I live in an apartment complex. What do you expect? So that's kind of where we're at. So we've kind of dived into this a little, and it's going to be a little bit of a longer video than I really would like, but you guys get the general idea. Really quick, there is more merchandise up on the channel now available to you guys. Cinnamon merchandise. There, we've also got the new Lady Maverick, Lady Mavericks Unite. We've got the The Project Lena logo stuff up on the channel now, and the Chickens Are People 2 logo merch up, which the Chickens Are People logo, the Chickens Are People 2 logo stuff has a really hilarious story behind it, and I never thought a good joke would have taken off like that. Okay, so we've kind of covered everything. Before we go too much further talking about Teespring and the new stuff, I want to take a moment and thank Country Girl and our friend from over in Ireland, Autumn, which he used to go by Irish. But I want to thank the two of them for helping with the logo stuff and the new merch. Really, hats off to you guys, because in almost every instance, Country Girl sat down and drew it up, and then Autumn came in and digitalized it and refined it to where it's perfect for the merch. It's perfect for merchandise. So thank you both so much for helping me out with that. That does bring us to a spot where we kind of touch base on why we're doing the engine swap. But this deserves a much more in-depth video at a later date. Currently, right now, I'm working on setting up for a live stream later. But in the meantime, check out Teespring, check out Patreon. With that being said, get out there and work on a project. Don't care what it is, just do something with yourselves. Remember, idle hands and a creative mind go together like oil and water. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet. Do something special for them today. And as always, for all of you out there, no one out there has told you that they love you today. Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24. Thank you.
Sayer, 6.22 with an oil, 116 miles an hour, and right now, good time to go get a hot dog while we wait for Cam.